And I see another guy there, Jim Todd, he can go with.
When you look at your career, you basically redefined the position of shortstop. Looking back on it, who was your role model? Who was the guy you looked up to?
Well, I don't know if I ever really patterned myself behind anybody. One of the things that I was always told is to try and work hard to be yourself, and so I kind of just did it my way, the way that I wasn't blessed with a lot of size, so I had to find a way to make it happen, and that's what I did.
The stories go that basically you find your reflexes by throwing a rubber ball against a stoop closer and closer and closer.
Well, one of the things that I think that as a young kid, which is different today, is that we had to find ways to be creative. We had to find ways to challenge ourselves, and that was really one of the ways that I challenged myself, not knowing that those little things that I did at that time were really enhancing skills that I was born with. And so I had a great time of learning the game kind of one-on-one with myself, and just seeing how far I could go with the skill that I was blessed with.
And being involved in a program like this, how can you say it's a different time? How can we get the kids of today to get back to going out and just loving the game? Because there's so much pressure on these kids today that if their parents think they're good when they're 9 years old, they move them into travel ball, and it's not the same.
I think that's where a lot of parents live vicariously through their kids. And I've always said that I believe that if a kid finds something that he loves doing at an early age, he'll never work a day in his life. Now, if baseball is what your kid truly loves to do, then by all means, be there as a parent to support him. But I never wanted to force my kids into doing what it was that I did, because I knew that kids of parents who are successful at something, the road is very tough. It's a very bumpy road, first of all, because so much more is expected of them. And I didn't want to put that type of pressure on my kids. Now, if my kids had chosen to do baseball, then I was going to be there to support them. But by no means was I going to force them into it. And I think too often today we force kids into playing, and it doesn't usually turn out too well.
You also, when you were young, you moved around a little bit. You were also, you lived in Watts during the riots. Yeah, how did baseball help you through probably what I can imagine as a young kid must have been a very difficult time?
Well, here again, I think that when we were young, we did everything. We played, that was what we did. You played everything, and you tried to be as well-rounded as you could be. And that philosophy just kind of continued throughout baseball, trying to be as well-rounded as you could be. And I didn't want to leave this game being looked upon as a one-dimensional player, because I never looked at myself as a one-dimensional player. My defensive prowess is what got me here, but I knew that if I was going to remain here, that I would have to be more of a complete player. So the work ethic that was instilled in me as a young kid, from my mom to my high school coach to my college coach to my pro coaches, all preach the same thing. And it's the same thing that I tell kids today, that I knew that I was only going to get out of something what I put in it. And if I didn't put anything in it, then I shouldn't expect anything in return.
Now, after baseball, you take over for a legend in Mel Allen, This Week in Baseball. How tough was it to step into those shoes?
That was, I don't know. It was one of those things that I had fiddled with a little bit before I gotten out. And so I had gotten to know the people in baseball pretty well. So they felt it was something that I could take on, a challenge that I could take on. And one of the best things that they did for me was that I didn't use cue cards. I didn't have any cards. I had to memorize all of my stories. I would get the copy on Sunday and memorize, and then we tape on Monday or Tuesday. And so it was really one of those situations where I think that, as it turned out, it was one of those blessings, because it truly was really natural, and that's what they were trying to create, and I think that's what we got.
You talked a little earlier about parents living vicariously through their kids. I know Little League parents, they get nervous. How was the whole American Idol experience for you with Nico?
I mean, that was very tough, because you don't control that, and sitting there and watching your kid it's every parent's dream to have their kids be successful and to be good citizens. And I couldn't be prouder of my kids than the way that they've turned out and stuff. And, it was nerve-wracking to say the least.
I appreciate it.